That's some mighty fine coffee. They call that the breakfast blend. Here's to you. Well, I dressed up a bit for the holidays, and so you got the matching semi-red with my red ribbon, and got my holiday hat on there, and I got I believe that's called a creche. Well, I got the creche because you may have seen it on the CNN, where or the Fox or the MSNBC, one of them. Somebody complained about having the creche, not this one, bigger one, over there in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Now, Canonsburg is west Pennsylvania. Is you could throw a rock and hit somebody in like Akron, Ohio. Well, I only mention that because I said I'm from western Pennsylvania. That's even farther west. I was born in the Johnstown, home of the Johnstown flood, which was that flood in 1889, I believe it was, where the guys up there and some rich people had an earthen dam, and they didn't take care of it, and had a big old rainstorm, just went down through the valley into Johnstown. Of course, I wasn't born then. I may look like I'm that old, but, I'm prematurely gray. So anyway, over in Canonsburg, there's a protest. Somebody didn't like that, and to show my support, I'm wearing a creche, because I think if you're offended by the baby Jesus, well, my goodness, why say Merry Christmas? Why put up a tree? Why buy a present? It's his birthday. I think you should say, well, if you're going to make money at the store from his birthday, you don't make no money from my birthday, let's show whose birth it is. Well, let's just get on, because it's time to answer some questions from the fans, well, or the viewers, I should say. They may not like me. Some of my best letters are from people who don't like me, but this one touches close to home. I'll just read it to you, and I'll try not to get too emotional there. I don't want to have those teary eyes and have those women on The View say I'm weepy. Although if I ever talk to Barbara Walters, I'd just weep like a little baby. Not the baby Jesus, though. Am I wrong in saying that I seen you in the original Star Wars Episode 4, or am I crazy? Well, it's from Luke in Hollywood. That's Luke. And, well, Luke, you may be crazy. I'm no psychologist, but let me just, sorry, I'm, hitting in my heart. Yes, I was in the original Star Wars Episode 4, but I was, I ended up on the cutting room floor. Very sad story, very sad. I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I was the Italian Jedi there. And they had this scene, and it just wasn't working. I said, Mr. Lucas, sir, I have an idea. Could you just let me extraneously, impromptu, throw a line out there? You run the camera, you don't like it, there it goes. Well, Mr. Lucas, probably only Mr. Spielberg is as nice as Mr. Lucas. Two of the finest gentlemen I've ever met. They may not remember me. I'm just like one of the Wookiees, So they said, well, let it roll. So I take now this is not a lightsaber. This is actually my remote control. But I'm asking you to imagine. And so he says, okay, roll them. And setting this thing up, there's one of those, they're not the RoboCop, they're the clones. I believe they're called the clones. And he's in one of them jet cars. They just sort of float nice and easy across the air and about 2 feet off the ground. And so, and then I cut his head right off, and the head rolls down on the hood and onto the ground, and I take my lightsaber, I throw it in the back seat, and then one of the best lines I have ever come up with, I said, leave the lightsaber, take the cannolis. Well, everybody loved it. Well, it was just that particular day that was what we call the buzz. Leave the lightsaber, take the cannolis. Well, we come out at the premiere, and there's a fellow in the audience, have not met him, Francis Ford Coppola, I believe it is. Well, Francis sees that, gets upset, calls to Mr. Lucas, accusing him of the copyright infringement. Turned out it had a very similar, not identical, but very similar line in The Godfather. Well, we parlays when you sort of talk and you deal and you bargain, and it was cut. It was cut. You know, there was my, and that's not the worst of it. The agreement that the Mr. Coppola and Mr. Lucas and I made, and frankly, you know, like I had anything to say, they would cut it, and I could never work in the Hollywood movie lands again. And well, I've got more questions, but what does that guy say on the show? Verlumped. I'm verlumped. So that's how it ended. And if it wasn't for the YouTube, I would have no communication career, because the Hollywood, they just said get rid of Jimbo. So I think I'll close. You know, as I have told you what we're doing now. I'm Jimbo, and this is the JNN. Merry Christmas.